Be warned, this video will contain spoilers. The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3, Episode 4 might technically be called Last Stand, but it's clear the real battle here isn't just about wedding plans or a birthday meltdown. It's about identity, control, and the complicated push and pull between mothers and daughters. While the show usually leans into its romantic entanglements, this episode smartly reroutes the emotional focus toward Belly and her mother, Laurel, and it's exactly the kind of shift this season desperately needed. Let's be honest. Belly turning 21 should have been a milestone of celebration and clarity. Instead, it kicks off with an awkward breakfast rejection and a passive-aggressive bridal shopping session without Laurel. And while it's tempting to feel bad for Belly, this episode makes it harder to stay on her side. Practically everyone around her, from Laurel to Stephen, is waving red flags about the impulsiveness of marrying Jeremiah this summer. Yet Belly barrels forward with stubborn, almost tunnel-vision determination. It's frustrating to watch, especially since the show itself has already laid the groundwork for her doubts about this relationship. But now, those doubts have seemingly vanished into thin air. Belly's characterization here feels like it's being bent to serve the plot rather than emerging naturally from her arc. There's a hollowness to how the show treats her feelings for Jeremiah, and it's amplified in moments that are supposed to be sweet, like her declaring she can't bear 5 days apart and deciding to cancel her Paris study abroad. What should be romantic instead plays like emotional codependency. It's not just a red flag, it's an entire parade. And as much as the show wants us to swoon over Jeremiah and Belly's bond, the chemistry between Lola Tung and Gavin Casalegno doesn't quite carry the weight it needs to. Their dynamic lacks that unpredictable spark, and instead of rooting for them, many of us are left questioning what the show is even trying to say about their future. Meanwhile, the way the show sidelines Conrad has become increasingly baffling. It's like the writers want us to forget he even exists, and it just doesn't track, especially when we know that Belly's story has always revolved around a deeper internal conflict than simply picking between two boys. If this is still supposed to be a love triangle, where's the tension? Where's the longing? Instead, it feels like a one-sided sprint toward a finish line that no one actually asked for. But thankfully, Episode 4 pulls things back into focus with Laurel. Jackie Chung delivers one of her strongest performances yet, and it's refreshing to see the narrative acknowledge that romantic love isn't the only love worth fighting for. Laurel isn't perfect, she could definitely do better at meeting Belly where she is emotionally, but her concerns are valid. She sees her daughter clinging to a fast-track marriage as a way to cope with grief, and rather than standing by silently, she pushes back. That mother-daughter dynamic is where the real heart of this episode lies. We get to see the cracks in their bond in a much more intimate way, not just through arguments, but through silence, through the ghost of Susanna's presence, through that gut-punch flashback to happier, simpler times underscored by Fleetwood Mac's landslide. The callback to the debutante dress is a quiet but devastating reminder of how much has changed between them. For all of Belly's talk about growing up, she and Laurel are still speaking different languages. The tension is less about control and more about mutual heartbreak. Two people grieving in their own way, too hurt to meet in the middle. What makes this episode powerful isn't the over-the-top drama, it's the restraint. The fact that Belly's impulsive choices are clearly rooted in emotional confusion rather than just teenage rebellion makes it hit harder. It's not that she's immature, it's that she's lost, and no one seems willing to hold her accountable in a way that truly resonates with her. Not Jeremiah, who just agrees with whatever she says, and not the show, which seems unsure whether to let her crash or throw her a parachute. So, what did you think of Laurel's stance? Do you agree with how she handled things? And do you feel like Belly and Jeremiah's storyline is believable? Or are you, like me, waiting for the other shoe to drop? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know how you're all feeling about this season so far. Is it still giving the emotional depth we got in earlier seasons? Or are we stuck in romantic limbo? Let's talk about it. Because while The Summer I Turned Pretty keeps pointing us toward the altar, I can't help but feel the real story is happening in all the quiet places Belly's not looking.